Spoopy kids.
John Bon Jovi here.
Have you ever spooped your poop? All right, let's do this.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, girl. Are those bad camera traits, or you just hate me?
Hey, girl, you film that ass with that camera?
Because I didn't pick up any of it.
I didn't get any of that.
Okay. Hey, everybody, it's Benji here.
And Philip J. Fry.
And we are the
Two Beans! Season 2 coming at you.
Season 2, Episode 2.
Episode 2. And I'm still talking into the mic.
Oh yeah, we are still your favorite two beans, and we still have all the same toxic traits that we had from season 1.
Hey, Matt!
Hey, Matt! Okay, so you probably watched the episode 1 already. That one is kind of a rough one, so we're gonna do something fun and light. And I've got my fun and light new shoes on.
Look at those things. They'll clip Christmas.
God. New boot goofing.
New shoe
goofing. Oh yeah, I probably farted at that point. My body doesn't bend that way anymore.
No.
All right, so like all episodes, we are going to start with a shot. Everybody! Hey girl, is that a shot, or are you just happy to see me?
Hey girl, you take shots with that camera.
Hey girl, is that Ted dancing with a box set of cheers, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm Sam Malone.
I'm Sam Home Alone. Okay.
What are we shooting?
Toots, root boot, and berry lemon.
Berry lemon, root tootin' bootin'.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yes.
Yummy.
Much better than this infusions.
When
They say 0 sugar, they forget to mention that it tastes like ass.
The infusion, when you let me smell it, I was like, it smells like the watermelon rind.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like watermelon at all.
Yeah, usually the smell is better than the taste, and this time that was correct, because it tasted worse than that watermelon rind smell. I was hoping, I was like, well, you get the hint of the watermelon, and then when you taste it, it should be like, good, this watermelon's good.
Wow, but it was like, no, this watermelon rind, turns out watermelon rind still tastes bad.
It's just like someone took like really hard watermelon shavings, and they're like, shave, and then just shoved it down your throat. While pouring just vodka down your throat to ease the pain.
Absolutely. All right, so this episode, I don't know if I've already said it, but we are going to say it again. We are going to go over movies. We are both movie fanatics.
Movie junkie.
Movie junkies. So anyway, we've actually done 3 movie reviews. We were supposed to release them from season 1, but then we just really never did.
Compilation of 2 beans promising things that don't happen. Probably not going to happen.
It's already happened, because when the season comes out, those compilations should have already came out. I'm completely full of shit. So anyway, let's get on to movies.
Like them, love them.
Yeah. Fun fact, we already recorded this episode, and we did such a horrible job.
Yeah.
We were like, oh yeah.
What do you like in a movie?
Yeah. I like that the screens move and that there's a story.
I generally like actors with, and stories with a character arc.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it's just, one character not arcing.
They're just flat.
Yeah.
They're just like, I didn't learn a thing at the end of this. which, you know.
That was a waste of time.
All right, so.
I mean, some movies are like that.
Yeah. So, like, I got some questions for you. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is your criteria for enjoying, or, like, what is something that, like, when you watch a movie, how does it become something that you enjoy?
Ooh, okay.
So, let's make you think little Katie Couric action with the hot takes. But.
Something that makes it, I don't know.
Like, for me, to just kind of get the juices flowing for you a little bit, I'm gonna juice it. Unlike your infusion. Like, I really love timing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think timing in movies, like, when something happens, you know, when's it important for that to happen? Having that down is really important for me. Like, because that's, like, you get the dynamic range and stuff. Connecting with characters. I really connect. Not that I, like, love bad guys. Like, a lot of people, I love the Joker. No, I like good, well-rounded.
Right. Yeah.
And
not
then,
just being bad for the sake of bad.
Yeah, like, they're actually good people that had bad things happen to them and make them. Yeah, and then, you know, the meaning of the story. Was it fun, enjoyable? Which that comes down to what kind of movie it is for me. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going into an action-adventure movie being like, I'm going to think on this one.
I hope there's romance.
If The Rock's in it, I'm probably just going to be watching CGI action.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love it because that's what I'm going to walk in and that's what I want to see.
You're not going to walk out feeling very existential.
I'm going to be like,
after Fast 9.
The Rock really made me think. Vincent Diesel really made me think on that one. Thinking about family.
Yeah, I was going to say, I need to call my mom.
Nothing's greater than family. Yeah, so...
Hey, Ma! Vin Diesel told me to call
can you grab that Vince gasoline fella? hey, Ma! Okay, so, yeah, are the juices stirred enough for you to give me an answer?
So I guess something that would make it stick out for me is I like it when, like, kind of the story of the movie can blend something that you could tell was kind of like maybe like a personal project for whoever was involved, but also frame it in a way where it, like, can kind of reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, those are kind of the stories and the screenplays and the scenes that, you know, people kind of put a lot into because it kind of meant something for everyone. I also like when people take something or an idea that might be conventional but do it in an unconventional way. So kind of like with the original Star Wars trilogy where it was basically just like samurai stories and like a lot of that culture but just framed in a different way so that that the people didn't, you know, quite realize that until later on. They're like, hey, that was...
Hey, is Mark Hamill a freaking samurai?
He's a samurai!
He's a freaking samurai!
I had no idea.
No.
Yeah, I like stuff
again.
like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Things that kind of catch on.
That reminds me of, like, a movie that I really like that's really new, but I don't know if it did... Like, it did well enough that they're making, like, a big universe, but Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Both what you said reminds me of that movie, watching it, because it was kind of a personal project. He really enjoyed making it. He teamed up with Netflix to do it. And then it kind of created this little universe out of it. But he really liked, when you hear him talk about it, like making it, it's still like a bank robbery movie, but there's zombies. So he has these two different... God damn it. But yeah, he still has this, like, these two different tropes, right? Like, he has a bank robbery, you know, and then he also has the zombie movie stuff, the horror aspects and all that, and how they both, like, at the end, every time in both those movies, everything goes wrong. And so he has that happening and stuff, and it was enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. I can see why other people probably didn't, but I think because I got all the backstory and just read all the interviews with him before the movie, it really helped me connect with him. And then when I connected with him, which you don't normally connect with directors, unless you, like, really, like, kind of get what they're going for, maybe. You know, some movies are just so good, like, they transcend that, and you do connect with the director or the writer. But yeah, usually you're when you're watching movies, you connect with the actors, the characters, and the writing, right?
Yeah.
But not usually the director. The director kind of portrays that.
Just kind of
to you.
overseas.
Yeah. So I felt like Army of the Dead, learning about that stuff helped me connect with that.
And I think also just at the end of the day, kind of like what you were saying with, like some action movies and stuff like that. It's like you kind of have to manage your expectations with what you're going to see.
Yeah,
it's like I don't think anyone was expecting a Zack Snyder Army of the Dead film to be like, oh, this is just as good as the original Night of the Living Dead, or this made such an impact or a statement. It's like, no, it's just a blockbuster,
have fun
action movie with some zombies.
Yeah, you're not walking into Adam Sandler movies being like, this is going to be very serious.
Yeah,
he does have some really good serious movies, but
you usually know.
No,
it's not like you're getting ready to walk in and they're like Jack and Jill, and then you come out and you're like, oh. I feel bad for Adam Sandler.
Well, I think you do come out,
but in a different way. Yeah,
in a different way,
not in like a sad way. More, you're just like, oh, that's what he did with his career. He hasn't made a different movie since 1995.
Is this what Happy Gilmore did?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, cool. We answered that question way better this time than last. I think last time I was like, I would think of something, I'm like, oh, and then it would immediately just go away. And I was like,
all I planned last time was like, what are my top anything? And so any question relating to not those specific movies, I was like, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know why I like movies.
It's a deeper theme than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got way too inward on that one, and then I was just tapped out. So I had nothing to contribute the rest of the time.
Hey, Mike, can you help me contribute something to this podcast?
Since you asked some questions.
I've only asked one question, but yeah, go for it.
Could I ask a question?
I like this back and forth banter we have going.
Let's go with like some childhood favorites. Like, if you had to pick, not necessarily ones that is like, I've loved it since I was a child and I always will love it, but like stuff that like you remember kind of specifically as a kid, that you were like, yeah, that was fun, like.
When I think of this, I got two movies that come to mind, and they're not actually in my top movies, so I do appreciate the question. It's got me, when I think of children, and me as a one children.
Sorry, he's licking this plate real hardcore over here.
Hey, Samson, get out of here. One whole child memory dedicated to Reign of Fire. My mom was like, are you sure you want to watch this? Oh yeah, I want to watch this. Couldn't make it past where they light the garden on fire and the guy the zombie the dragon comes out of nowhere and eats the guy out of the, and I was like, nope, gotta go.
And what movie is that?
Reign of Fire with Matthew McConaughey, Christian Bale, Gerard Butler.
I haven't even heard of that one.
Oh, I'm sure you've heard of it, and I'm sure if you watched it, you'd be like, oh yeah. No, it's like a dragon movie where like post-apocalyptic. Came out mid-2000s.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Good lord. And Matthew McConaughey's buff and bald. Who doesn't want that in their life?
I'm not saying I don't want it. It's...
Well, we're going to watch it sometime. Okay. And we should do a movie review about it.
Yeah, I'm down.
It's actually, like, horribly wonderful.
Yeah.
Because there's not any, like, weird... Like, you don't think about it enough to think of any plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I was a kid, it scared the shit out of me, and I left the theater with my mom. Like, she was like, "Oh, this will be fun! Like, I'm glad I finally get to take you to like an adult, like a grown-up adult movie and stuff like this." Like, I'm so glad we're not watching Lion King and Pokemon for the 10th time.
Right. And ends in disaster.
And then two more for me, which are fun. I didn't leave Dinosaur. I love that movie with the iguanodons. I love dinosaurs. If people don't know, if you follow me on Facebook or anything, you understand.
Or watched any episode of this podcast?
Yeah, I watched it. I love dinosaurs. So, and then, shoot, I had one more. It's gone. So talk about your stuff. Obviously, they're not that great of memories if I just.
So I just thought of one as you were talking about the Reign of Fire is another movie that came out when I was a kid that I wanted to watch, and Mom was like, I was like, I'll be fine. But it was Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Pierce Brosnan, which I think I probably I probably got into it or heard about it because, you know, he was James Bond, and I was like mega obsessed with James Bond as a kid for some reason.
Well,
and so,
sorry.
You're good.
We're
Which
good.
one did you just take?
I took the shitty one. I was like, I'm gonna react.
Oh, you're gonna try this
have
one?
A reaction to
Oh,
this.
okay. I'll try another one for the camera. Here, we'll take it at the same time. Anyway, so I don't remember if I was traumatized about volcanoes before that movie, or if it was from that movie. But
I remember
the scene that messed me up with it was, I think there's like, they're trying to cross a river and the volcanoes erupted and the grandma gets out and you
boiling
like
water.
Yeah, and I was like, ah, and like I said, I don't remember if it was that movie that made me scared of that or if it just reinforced my fears of volcanoes. But I would, I had like a faux bunk bed, so it was just like a bed that was kind of raised up, but there wasn't anything underneath it.
Yeah.
And so there was a railing on the side, so I just got pillows and lined them up around the side so that hot lava couldn't get into my bed. I was like 10 years old.
It's funny how like irrational. Isn't that like though? It's talking like movies and young kids. Like that's why. Remember what movie we loved? It Follows. God, I love that movie. It scared the shit out of me, and I loved the aspect that it happened to kids.
Yeah,
because kids, and a lot of times with horror movies, it happens to kids. Everybody's like, "Why does it always happen to kids?" Because they act irrationally. They don't react to things like we do as adults. Like, I hear that story about you and the volcanoes, I'm like, that is so irrational. But I'm 28 now.
Right.
And I can't tell you, like, Rain of Fire, dragons didn't exist. It still scared the crap out of me when I was a kid and left the theater.
And there's also an aspect of, like when you're a kid, it's like, you're trying to articulate things that are scaring you, but you don't know how to say it, and so it's like kind of this lurking boogeyman, and like people don't believe you.
Yeah. And I don't think you ever have quite that distinction between reality and, because you don't really know what real life quite is yet.
No, but
as a kid, you've really, at that point, you've really only thought about what affects you.
Yeah.
You've never really worked or branched your way out, thought about other things outside of that. I mean, maybe you have. You're an awesome kid if you have.
And it's like
you're off to a great
young
start.
and your neurons are still firing real fast, so every experience feels new.
Yeah.
So whether it's like good or bad, it still feels very foreign. Whereas it's like once you kind of get in your 20s and you know onward, it's like everything's kind of already happened once. So you kind of have a rough idea. Whereas like when you're younger, you're like, I don't know, is that like bad?
Is that
Or can the fault line just form like right here and then lava come up and just suck me into the earth? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, in theory, it could happen.
I just watched a movie about it. All right, so cool. I remember, man. Yeah, I can't remember the other movie. I know it was something that I really loved, but I just can't remember it.
That's okay. We had a good thing.
Godzilla.
There with,
Godzilla. The Matthew Broderick. Yeah. So what I remember
the
about
broad
that,
man.
the good old broad man. Broadway player. Matthew Broderick.
Broderick on Broadway.
Everybody knows I love Godzilla. If you watch this podcast or just know me in general, I love Godzilla. He dies at the end of it. Spoiler alert.
Oh, does he really?
Oh yeah,
that sucks.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Sorry.
But anyway,
I know I've seen it, but not since like 1998.
I
when
bawled.
it came out.
Yeah, I bawled. Just my parents took me to Dairy Queen. I remember just bawling, crying because Godzilla died. My parents were like, "It's gonna be okay. Like it's not real." Like
yeah.
And yeah, like that's how much I loved Godzilla. And again, irrationally thinking, like I didn't know, like I don't know how I couldn't have made that distinction. Like I probably would still cry if I watched the movie, just because it's Godzilla dying. Like you have the heartbeat, and it's really sad.
Oh, I thought you meant Matthew Broderick died at the end.
No.
It's been so long, I don't remember.
Turns out he's actually the monster running around New York destroying it.
I thought you were
The
real
lizard's
sad about
trying-
Matthew Broderick's character dying.
Oh, good
I was
Lord.
like, well, I mean, I guess you were only like 5 years old, so.
Yeah.
That could be sad, but it makes way more sense as Godzilla.
Now I'm just picturing him getting tangled up in the bridge. He's massive. And everybody else is just like, what the fuck? But Hank Azaria is in that movie. And I have a personal affinity for Hank Azaria. Mm-hmm. He's always kind of just fun. Yeah, and he did The Simpsons, so.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I have another question. So speaking about movies that make you emotional, something that I learned and I really got it. Like, I don't know if it just like unlocked something, but like listening to Kevin Smith talk about movies really unlocked like a whole other emotional level for me. And by emotional level, I mean I just cry, like just, and it's not sad stuff. Sad stuff doesn't make me cry really anymore. Happy things, like I get like this like connection and like.
If something's overwhelmingly joyful,
like
it's hard not to cry.
It's like the end of trilogies, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you have that big fight scene that everybody does now that kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of did. I mean, even like Star Wars in the first trilogy, but like the new Star Wars, I was like, I have no connection to these. Was it 7, 8, 9? Mm-hmm. Like they're okay. I don't hate them.
Yeah, I didn't cry at the end.
But like when everybody showed up and they had all the old characters and stuff, it was fun. You're kind of like, oh, well, I guess I do have this connection because I have seen every movie.
Yeah. I've
been across this, and it's like, even though I don't necessarily like love those 3 movies, I did have an emotional connection.
Yeah.
And with all the like I wish all the Jedi actually showed up. Like the people, like Samuel Jackson, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, instead of just the voices.
Yeah, and I get why they kind of did the voices, but yeah, and like the big one that I like, Avengers Endgame was really like.
Is that the one where Thanos is doing the?
Yeah, thing? It's at the end. It's because it's 2 parts. It's Infinity War and Endgame, and so Endgame is after he does that, and they get everybody back, and then everybody at the end. It's like everybody, all the movies you've ever seen, because that whole movie is really really just like. Here's everybody that was in this universe that we created. Like Robert Redford has his character. All these little small characters just pop back up. And it was all to give them props. Everybody gets to appreciate it. It was basically just one big, like, fan service to, like... And just kind of a service to all the people that made that Marvel Cinematic Universe for that specific era special. And so, I went in the end, when everybody shows up... And they all fight and they all charge and stuff. It made me emotional. And like, yeah. And then the last one, Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Oh, and that's the new one, right?
Yeah, not Godzilla versus King Kong. It's the second one of the new trilogy.
Right.
But, they did a lot of. They like took the music from the old movies and they kind of revamped them, and like it's kind of corny and cheesy. It's a lot of big monsters. I've always talked about how 2014 is kind of my favorite because I like the way they kind of like made Godzilla seem bigger than life.
Yeah,
but like this one, like they don't do that. It's like this is full blown Godzilla in your face fighting big monsters, and it reminds you of the old movies. And It brought some tears in my eye, like a kid watching them over Halloween with like friends, cousins, and stuff like that. And so like we were in the theaters, and I just like, oh, this is beautiful. This is what I wanted.
Yeah, you're like, this is why I exist.
This is great.
It was for this movie here. Well, geez. So, if I had. There's definitely movies I've reacted to on a positive emotional level like that, like the new Bill and Ted movie last year. I was like,
oh yeah, I teared up on that.
I was like, yeah,
I think we all teared up on that.
Yeah,
because we watched that all together, right?
That's so
good.
good.
Let's take this shitty shot.
Oh yeah.
Shit shot. Tim Tam.
God, it's bad.
Is it just made with leaves?
Yeah. It's like someone shoved a watermelon up their ass and then they put this just like vodka up there and just tooted it out into your cup. Tooted! So then you just have tooty vodka.
Like honestly, like it just burns, and then finally when it's done burning, it's like, hey, here's watermelon. Like somebody like just was like, hey, I want you to drink.
It's like burnt watermelon.
Yeah, they're like, They're like, I want you to drink this whole bottle of vodka, and then at the end, I'm going to give you a slice. But, like, that little bit of pink right before you get to the rind, that's what I'm going to
And the vodka itself doesn't even taste like that good.
No,
like
it's like Barton's.
Yeah, this is like Barton's vodka with, like, a little bit of shit.
Just butt. The only thing worse is Nelson's ass.
I was looking for it today, and I was like, we could do a throwback to Nelson's ass.
I saw it. When
really? Okay, I couldn't remember where it was. It's probably because I was looking for Nelson's ass. I couldn't remember what it was called. Oh, man. But yeah, so there's that. I know there's other movies, but, like, when I think of movies and emotional response, it's usually, I mean, it's both has some sadness and some, like, joy to it. It's called What Dreams May Come. It has Robin Williams in it.
Oh yeah.
One of my English teachers in high school showed us this movie because I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And we only watched like half of it in class, which sucked because like the premise of the story is it's Robin Williams and his wife, and they have 2 kids. She's an artist, and I think he does something, I don't remember. But their 2 kids die. Yeah. So they're both like really sad. She ends up kind of like checking into a mental institution, and then he ends up dying in a car crash. So then he goes to heaven. Yeah. And it's him and Cuba Gooding Jr. It's like Cuba Gooding Jr. is his guide through heaven. And it's really emotional because it's like the heaven he's in is a painting that his wife like painted. Yeah. So he's like sliding through, getting covered in paint, and it's all joyous. And then stuff starts to like die in his heaven because his wife's like really sad. Yeah. And then she kills herself. So then he has to go to hell to like retrieve her. Oh wow. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, no one's ever been through hell and like came back. Like when you go, you're there. So it's like this whole journey. Oh wow. And yeah, it's intense, and it's one that's like I save every once in a while for when I need like a really good cry. Yeah. Because I'm just emotional through the whole movie. I'm like,
that funny man's not funny.
Which has only like made it like sadder, like through the years. But yeah, it's a good one for getting that stuff out. Also, Frankenweenie.
I never watched it.
Makes me cry. Yeah. Jenna can attest to that. Like, I was just a wreck when it was done.
So, 2 movies that have made me cry. Everybody's cried during Marley and Me, I think, to be honest with you. Like, it's Marley and Me. It's a dog, and the dog's dying, and you're like, God damn it, I grew up with
You could show me the shittiest dog in the shittiest movie, and then if it died, I'd be like, God damn it. He didn't deserve it.
Because all dogs are the goodest boys, no matter what. But one movie that like I have like a weird like I can't believe I watched it and I can't believe I cried during it. Dear John. And not during the love scenes with like John. Nope, not John Cena. Channing Tatum. They're both thumbs to me in my mind. Like they both look like thumbs. But yeah, it's Channing Tatum and some gal. And he goes off to the military. She leaves him. Well, blah blah. Yeah. But he has like a mentally handicapped father, or he has Alzheimer's or something like that. Not to be those two to be confused or mixed.
You just don't remember the details.
Yeah, I don't remember the details. But I remember like he was dying, and he like the father. It was can't remember the actor's name. But man,
Bill Engvall.
If you ever died from, you might be a redneck.
That's Jeff Foxworthy. I'm dying. Here's my sign.
But anyway, like the guy, he does a lot of funny movies. Like he was the dad in Step Brothers, I think.
Oh yeah. I can't think of his name. I know that guy.
But man, he does such a great job of like he's dying. He doesn't understand that he's dying, so he's just panicking.
Oh,
and
man.
The guy Channing Tatum does just such a good job of like trying to emotionally register this and like being strong because his dad's panicking. And like, you think about it, you're like, man, if my dad was panicking, yeah, like in like this
what
state,
would I do?
What would I was like, I don't know. He's not like my dad's been. Like,
I just panicked too. Like, oh my god!
Not that my dad's ever been like
then
a
we
pillar.
both die.
Yeah, my dad's never been like a pillar of strength, but also like maybe he has. I just never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that got to me a little bit. Not the love scene. I don't. love scenes or whatever, but like they're typical. But like that did get to me. So if anybody ever was like, "Oh, fuck Dear John," I'd be like, "There's a scene in there that has some
Rip you to
quality
shreds.
acting in it." To be honest,
That's good.
Yeah. So all right, next question.
Let's see. Oh, if you had to remake a movie, what would it be, and why, and how would you do it?
Okay, so this actually is going to go on one of my favorite movies, top favorite movies. So, but I'll get into that later. If I got to remake a movie,
Sorry,
you're good. If I can remember it, because actually, me and a buddy were talking about this, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna go. I don't have it anymore. So anyway, if I got to remake a movie, I would do Aliens. Aliens.
that was the second one, right?
Yeah, second one. So Aliens. Alien is probably one of the greatest sci-fi horror films.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens is probably one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time, like action sci-fi, like
action.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
yeah. Sigourney Weavers in it. Sigourney Weavers. Anyway, I have like a couple picks for like I would if I had like cast it for now. Who I'd pick for Sigourney Weaver, I'd want somebody young to kind of grow in, because I would, you know, she's not old by any means. So I just watched her in the new Black Widow movie, and I actually really enjoyed her kind of like well-timed comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Florence Pugh, she was in Midsommar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed her. She was probably, I didn't really like love the new Black Widow movie. It was okay. DK Harbour's kind of David Harbour's kind of David Harbour. I love Rachel Weisz. And Scarlett Johansson's always, like, she does a great job being the role she needs to be in. So, but yeah, I'd do Florence Pugh to take over Sigourney Weavers.
Okay.
Just because I did see her in an action movie just recently, and I loved her in that. And I thought that, like, she might, in the Aliens and with, like, comedy being so big in action movies, like, I think you need something like well-timed comedy. And that was kind of my favorite part about Black Widow, and with her character specifically, was well-timed comedy. I don't know if you would do that. I wouldn't necessarily go overboard with that in Aliens. Like, I don't know if I would change too much how that is, but that's what I would do. Was it Hudson, Bill Paxton's character? I would do Jake Johnson. Game over, man. Game. Like, I can think of Jake Johnson saying
Jake
that.
Johnson.
Jake, have you ever seen New Girl?
A little bit. We've started a
He's
couple
like
times.
her main love interest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jake Johnson.
Yeah.
Let's Be Cops is the...
Okay.
Hicks, just because I love him so much, it'd probably be like Tom Hardy as being like the serious, kind of quiet main character. Tom Hardy would be who I'd recast into that. And yeah, I would probably stick to the same kind of premise, just modernize it a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep kind of like the nostalgia of it, like with the cool like pulse rifles they've got. Keep all the little corny things like game over, man. Game over. Like, I just would
figure out a way for him to say that, but like for like a different meaning.
Yeah, and like I think
that.
Jake Johnson would find a way to like make that his own kind of thing, and like but still like make sure that you know like that's Hudson. That's what Hudson says.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's Bill Paxton, one of the strange, like probably one of the greatest sci-fi actors of all time, just because of how many big sci-fi franchises he's actually been in.
Yeah.
Maybe not in a big serious role like Terminator. He was just there at the beginning. Gets his butt kicked by Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he's in Aliens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those three specifically. I would think of like that's who I would do.
Okay.
And like yeah, like I said, just modernize it.
Yeah. So for me, this is something I honestly didn't think about a whole lot until I kind of wrote down the question. Which also is going to coincide with like one of my top favorite movies. So
yeah,
halfway spoiler alert for that is I would redo Phantom of the Paradise. It's a movie that's like it's pretty obscure. people know about it, but it's not, like anything crazy big. It's like an underground version of Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
But the reason I would redo it is because I feel like it's kind of one of those stories that in the landscape of kind of the music and like movie business and stuff, a lot of the stuff that's come to light recently with just how like awful a lot of the people in those industries are, I think it'd be a really great story to tell. And also the kind of throwaway nature and throwaway attitude that a lot of like music producers have towards music. It's all about just like, I don't care what the lyrics are about. I don't care what the thing's about. Like, if it's just a good song, it's out there.
Shine bright like a diamond.
So I feel like that would be like nice and relevant today. I hadn't thought about the recasting up until recently, and I still don't have specific people picked out.
No.
But I feel like for the actual Phantom character,
Gerard Butler. Isn't he was the Phantom.
Like 20 years ago.
Now he's only
old for
now he's only in what is it? Big destruction movies. He's in like 2 of those Geostorm.
Yeah. So I don't have anyone specific in mind, but I feel like someone who's kind of like somewhat up and coming in the music industry who also like could act decently. Someone
John
kind of
Cena.
like John Cena's perfect for that role. Someone who like has some musical talent, but also like can act a little bit too. Kind of get their career going, and then find someone. Man, I would say like someone like Elton John to play the Swan character, because he's someone who's been in the music business for like a long time.
Yeah,
has a lot of control over things.
To be honest, I'm glad you said that, because I've never actually watched Phantom Paradise with you. But every time you show me the cover, because you're excited and you're like, look at this, I got this.
Yeah.
I always think of the guy on the character, and I might be thinking this wrong, but I think there's a guy on the character, or the character, the box.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Elton John.
Yeah. It'd be Paul Williams. And honestly, I might go someone a little bit younger. But
Taron Egerton.
Someone who's like...
who played...
kind of both been in like the acting and the music business for like a long time. Because the cool thing about like the Phantom of the Paradise is like it kind of blends the Phantom of the Opera story with the the musician who's had his music stolen away and then he's disfigured, with like Faust in The Picture of Dorian Gray. So the character Swan, he's much older than he actually is.
Okay.
He like sold his soul to a devil to like retain his looks for a long time. It's kind of the supernatural twist that you find out at the very end.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it.
Sorry.
To
be spoil movies for you.
From 1974.
In 1998.
Yeah. So it's got all these like cool elements to it, and I feel like doing something that's kind of almost borderline kind of campy, because that's how the movie was, but like still like kind of updated and serious enough would be really fun. Like that would be like one of my passion projects is to eventually like record just the soundtrack to it, because I love all the songs on it. Yeah. I just have been, it's been an idea that's been kicking around since before I started recording my own music. I was like, I'd love an updated version of that. I just don't know like what avenue to go down to kind of like make it my own. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay, cool. All right, I've got a fun one for you. It's kind of one of my last questions that I'm going to ask, which is, what's your trilogy?
Like, favorite trilogy?
Yeah, like, everybody has trilogy. Like, obviously, the old farts of the world are like, I had Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or, older, I don't know if they had trilogies back then. Probably Western trilogies, maybe spaghetti Westerns and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, for me, it's Lord of the Rings. Everybody knows this. It's the most obvious answer for me. It's definitely Lord of the Rings.
So I think... So this is... I'm kind of making up a trilogy. It's not an established one. But I think if I had to, like, pick, like, 3 movies that I feel like kind of halfway tell a story and also kind of, like, embody something, I would go, like, Clerks, Chasing Amy, and Dogma.
But see,
I know I'm missing Mallrats in there, but I feel like even though those are all 3 different stories, those are the 3 most like personal stories of Kevin Smith.
So
and I feel like they kind of tell, I don't know, kind of, you get a really good character arc of Jay and Silent Bob through those movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like having them kind of be the thread through everything, it's like you're not following them on the whole thing. You're picking up other things along the way. But I like where they end up in that.
I would argue that it is actually a trilogy, and obviously it's more than a trilogy because Mallrats, because it's almost a huge story arc of Kevin Smith's life at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, even he'll admit it, like, those are his movies, that they're his life.
Yeah.
And, like, that's why his movies nowadays aren't quite, like, as good, as because they're not based off of what he was back. Like, those movies are based off of his life. Now he's a director, has lots of money, and he doesn't have the same...
Yeah, and the main reason I didn't include Mallrats just in that was because...
Don't forget Clerks 2.
Well, and Clerks 2 is afterward. Like, I'm just saying because, like, you said trilogy, so I'm thinking of 3 movies.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the ones... Because Mallrats was, like a big-budget studio movie. It was Universal Studios, whereas... Clerks, Chasing Amy, and Dogma were all relatively independently kind of produced and stuff through different studios.
Weren't a lot of them, though, still Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah, I think so.
Ron Perlman pissed on his
Dogma's
hand.
the hardest one to come by these days because I think it was entirely financed by Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other ones were like either Miramax or New Line Cinema. So there's some rights that have moved them around, but Dogma is like, I think pretty much 100% the rights of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really hard to come by.
I think you and me both have a Blu-ray of Dogma now.
Yeah.
I bought mine. Mine was a U.S. region Blu-ray, which was cool, but I bought it from somebody in Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, I got lucky, and it was one of the first Blu-rays I got when I first got like a Blu-ray player back in like 2012 or something like that.
I spent like $30 on my Dogma copy.
Yeah.
But it's Dogma. Didn't I get you... Sorry not to interrupt you. Yeah, the script for Dogma?
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's up in my
I read
studio.
through it before I gave you. I was like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Dogma doesn't get its due.
No, it's... I think also that's another spoiler alert, is it's like one of my top movies.
Yeah, we'll get into it when we get into it.
But yeah, I would go that trilogy because I feel like those are his most overall personal movies. They tell a cool story arc, but not in a traditional way where you follow every action of the main characters. I feel like Jay and Silent Bob are just the thread that pull you through, and you get all these cool side stories along the way.
Yeah, and then again, not to argue again, but like to say, like, I think when you watch those movies, it opens up so much light to your world. Like Chasing Amy was something that, like, I think I needed to watch in this society where, like, I don't know if I'm gonna go that far, but like, it made me who I am today. Like, it helped bring this understanding of like understanding other people. And like how Ben Affleck... Good Lord.
Sorry, I'm just
banging and a banging.
This is going to have to be a hard edit on like the audio where I'm just like, anytime I'm not talking, mute. Just edit that out.
Yeah. So, yeah, for me, like, Chasing Amy was such a emotional impact for me and just like a pivot on who I was. Because... I don't know, when you're 18, you have, like, because that's when I first watched Chasing Amy. Like 17, 18, you're like, oh, I got everything figured out. Like, you're top of the world, you're hot shit, and you don't give a shit about anybody else. Chasing Amy was the first time where you kind of watch that and you're like, open your eyes, like, no, like, your actions and how you treat people and, and what, your worldview isn't actually the entire world.
Yeah.
And it's deeper than that and stuff. But, like, I remember when that was kind of my initial reaction when I watched Chasing Amy. It was like, oh, wow. Like,
yeah. I watched it for the first time when I was probably like 12 or 13. It was on, when we had DirecTV, there was a channel that was specifically for, like, gay and lesbian stuff. I can't remember what the name of the channel was. And of course, like, growing up in a small town and not knowing a whole lot about like that culture and that stuff like that, it seemed like really like a taboo channel to watch. But then I saw Chasing Amy was on there, and I was like, that's a Kevin Smith movie. I'll watch it. And I was not prepared for it, because like I didn't even get to watch the whole movie. It was like one of those movies where I started like halfway through.
Yeah.
And like ended up coming upon the scene where, you know, it's like Ben Affleck suggesting the threesome with Jason Lee and Joey Lauren Adams. And I was just like, what? This is too much. This is overloading my brain. So like I didn't watch it again until I was like about that age, like 18, where I could like watch the whole thing and like really appreciate it. But yeah.
All right.
I think we're ready for top 3.
I think so. I've like got a bunch of top movies, I guess. I do have just a top 5, kind of.
Yeah.
I'll do a top 3 though. I can limit it
I think
down.
if you do top 3 and then like 1 or 2 runners up for each, like I guess kind of like quote unquote category.
Yeah. Okay. So top 3 for me. Aliens. So I'm not going to actually mention Aliens as the top 3 because I've already mentioned them. I love that movie. It's one of the greatest sci-fi action movies of all time. It's so fun. I can rewatch that anytime.
Yeah.
But I will say Interstellar, which we have the movie review over. It actually ended up taking
coming soon.
Or has already came out. We don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah,
where this is going to fall in the canon.
Ended up overtaking Inception for me for favorite Christopher Nolan because ever since we did that. Those kind of movie reviews, I've watched it like 2 or 3 times since then now, and I'm like, God, I love the soundtrack to it. I love the soundtrack to Inception, but anyway,
it's the AC. It's whatever.
Yeah, whatever. The Departed, which is a Martin Scorsese, he's my favorite director. Leo DiCaprio's in there.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, Martin Sheen's in it. Mark Wahlberg.
Martin Sheen.
Jack Nicholson.
Martin Nicholson.
Matt Damon.
Matthew Broderick.
My name is Matt Damon, and I'm here with Jackass. It's Anthony Anderson's in it. I don't know. It's a really good movie. There's a lot of twists and turns. It's based off of another movie. It's basically a remake for American remake. But it's so good. Like, you learn something new every single time. You learn all these twists and turns. It's super fun. But then the producers.
Yeah.
Springtime for Hitler. Will Ferrell. Matthew Broderick, Nathan Lane, Uma Thurman.
Just an all-star cast.
God, yeah, and it's a remake of the original The Producers, which is not a Broadway play. It was a Mel Brooks film with Gene Wilder, and it's okay, but like that early 90s, early 2000s.
I think it's like 2004.
Yeah. But that remake, The Producers, with those guys, it's just wonderful. Yeah. And then they even did it when it was Mel Brooks is like. They did like a anniversary of Mel Brooks or something like that, and all those guys came out and did a lot of those movies.
Yeah,
did The Producers specifically and stuff, and it was good.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It really got me into Broadway plays. Broadway musicals anyway. And
that's how they do it on Broadway.
That's how they do it on Broadway. Anyway, yeah. So. Songs are wonderful. The comedic timing is wonderful. The comedy itself isn't like, sometimes you watch some of those late 90s, early 2000s movies, you're like, they don't get it. Like, and obviously they don't get it, right? Like, you didn't get it back then.
Yeah.
Like, those movies make you cringe because nowadays we're getting it. We're starting to get it. We're starting to understand. Or at least...
You have those moments where you're like, I used to laugh at this.
Yeah, but, like, I don't get any of that. Like, there's still sometimes where I'm like, ugh. Like, you know, like, even in The Producers, you're kind of like, Nathan Lane's kind of a sleazebag.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't feel too serious.
Yeah, I mean,
to,
you gotta take
cringe.
it all, with what it is, It's...
So, I love that movie. It transcends time for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, Interstellar is just, God, it's wonderful. Listen to our review of that if you want to hear what I think of that. I think of that. And then, I don't know why I said it like that. And then, just The Departed. It's a cool detective film, mob film, which I love detective mob films also. The Goodfellas and stuff like that. Martin Scorsese films.
Goodfellas.
And, so, what are yours?
All right. So I kind of went like they're not specifically in categories, but I kind of had to categorize them a little bit because honestly, my top films.
Oh my god,
like,
that's horrible. There's no cherry lemonade in that at all. It's just ass.
Oh my god, you I don't even have a chaser. I'm just going for it.
Vanilla.
Eee!
Oh, that's worse than the watermelon rind.
Damn, is this like our third or fourth shot in this episode?
Yes.
Eee! We might do another one after this.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, like I kind of split them into like comedy, horror, and drama. Because if I truly went by like ones that are like, oh, that's if I had to pick, that'd be it. They kind of all be like horror movies, or like kind of along
you
that
do
vein.
you boo.
No, but like these, I feel like kind of get a good all around capsule of me. Okay. So I'll go with the ones that I've talked with about a little bit already. So there's for the kind of drama, I put Dogma. So I feel like it's a good like.
It's a comedy drama, sure.
Yeah, and what the thing I like about it, you know, kind of I was talking about earlier, is that it's a really personal story because it's about, you know, the lady who finds out she's like the last descendant of Jesus Christ and stuff like that. But because she finds out something like that, it's kind of on like this big grand scale. So you have this really personal story about someone who's really conflicted with their faith. But it's put on this kind of like big scale with, you know, it being supernatural in the way where it's like you have literal angels and demons, you know, going through Earth and stuff like that. So that's why I like that one, and I put that in that category. So I got that one, and then like under the horror, like I put Phantom of the Paradise. It's not like a horror movie, and it's not the greatest. But if I think of like a horror movie that encapsulates a lot of aspects about movies that I really enjoy, like good, interesting like film editing, good screenplays, interesting story, really good music, and then a little bit of the supernatural and all that. That would be my top pick. You know, like any other ones I find, they're really good at.
See, I can do that all day.
Yeah, they're really good at like the one thing, but there's other stuff that's missing.
Yeah.
And then for comedy, so I'll throw up a few runners up.
Just gonna throw up. We're just gonna throw up right now.
So for like classics and stuff, you know, I love a lot of the Abbott and Costello and Three Stooges stuff.
She had so much.
And then
I had to pay toll.
Did you see those teeth? Every time I kissed her, I had to pay toll.
That's an inside joke nobody will understand.
I know. Oh my god, I love that movie though.
Didn't we said
you're fine.
You go.
So that would be like kind of like classic runner-up. A more modern runner-up, which like I almost wanted to put this as like top, but it just because like it's kind of newer, it hasn't had as much time to sink in, and it just like, for me personally doesn't fit in with.
We should say it at the same time.
It's not. I don't know. So this is the runner-up. I'll put Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, that was what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to say it the same. Forgetting.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I wasn't sure because I thought you might make that be like my top one.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, that one, like, man, talking about a movie that withstands the test of time. Even though it's only been like 12 or 13 years since it came out. Oh, it's so good.
It is so good.
And it's got some good quotes, and it's totally rewatchable.
The weather outside
and it's
weather.
It's such a good movie for both breakups and like new relationships.
Yeah.
Like I've watched it with significant others at both ends of the spectrum of like the relationship.
Sometimes I just watch it twice in a row, right when I break up and then right when I move.
Yeah. It's so good, and it's a fun story. But so kind of an underdog here, putting in for the top comedy. I put The Burbs.
Oh, I was gonna say underdog, but yeah, okay.
And the reason I put that on there is because like it kind of has, you know, the spooky aspect, so it still kind of gets that a little bit in there for me.
Yeah.
And it's It's goofy, but it's not so far out there that you kind of have to totally suspend your disbelief.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it has a lot of that really kind of like dry humor. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I feel like is kind of on par with like early Simpsons seasons humor that if I just told it to you, it wouldn't be funny. But like in the context of the movie and the situation is so good. Which side note about
all these
that,
earthquakes.
I'll put this in a new earthquake compilation. It's me bumping. Phil just boom. And on that note, I think we need to move on to the next episode.
Oh yeah. Hey everybody, thanks for joining in with our podcast.
This is gonna be the first chaotic episode of this
our
season.
Our first episode again was a little heavy. I think we hopefully had some good comedic thing in that, but I think this one was a little bit more fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell all your friends, tell all your moms.
Tell your moms to join the Beans.
Season 2
on channel youtube.com/2beans.
Season 2, episode 2. Coming at you. Already came.
This is normally the part of the episode where we promise a lot of things that won't happen right now.
We're not going to do that this time.
There will be at least one podcast highlight episode.
We're hoping so.
It's already out right now.
But. Yeah, we're hopefully... Yeah, we did release that when we recorded this. Anyway, we just broke the fourth wall.
It's my favorite thing.
Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.